So, there was so much more gratitude in this space. And I know when the heart starts to open, we could probably spend hours now of overspilling hearts. And now I will state my intention to speak anyway to what comes in the coming days. Because in a way, this action was a kind of a climax of our gathering. Maybe there are more, but it was kind of a climax. And the next days are dedicated to alliances. How do we go forward? How do we really come together to find power, to do something that matters? And it is exactly this slim line that I'm treading of letting the power of abundance spilling over now and just let us talk and share what this action meant to us, to kind of focusing our energies and everything that is stirred in the heart now on a common line, on future cooperation. And I feel this is a really important act. Because it was mentioned by Fatima, she said, thank you for the deep planning of this action. And I think we were all in the experience of the action. And usually planning and strategy and a model has a very negative connotation today because it is so central in a culture that has hurt this planet and humanity for so long. And at the same time, she introduced the term of deep planning. You know, there was psychology, and because our culture has turned so shallow, now we have deep psychology. There was ecology, and now we have deep ecology. So we are opening the realm of deep planning, which means we listen to a plan that is already there, and we try to voice it in the most powerful way. And I would like to share one part of a plan that I had the honor and the blessing to see. Somehow we are also stepping into conscious evolution in these times. There was evolution by trial and error, and we know that humanity could keep trying, going the way that we go, and we all know what the error would be. And sure, life would receive a correction by evolution. Life would go on. But we are entering the blessing of conscious evolution. So there is a possibility of trial and realization and correction, adjustment. And I believe part of the blessing we have right now is that we gather on a land like Tamera. Now I'm not talking about Tamera only, but I'm talking about the land where all aspects of culture are dedicated to reuniting with life. In the future, these places might pop up everywhere. We love to call them healing biotopes. And I notice that I also need to give that speech for my own heart and in a way redeem the idea of a model. Before I will keep talking about models, I will explain a little bit of model. Because again, model is something that you can do at home and you bring it somewhere and you say that is the solution. And actually that's only one interpretation of a model. You do it somewhere, you bring it somewhere else. By definition, there's also model which gives the possibility, which models a possibility for other people to follow and imitate, for other places to follow and imitate. And when I talk of cultural models today, I'm not talking of a complete, in detailed plan of how to do it. But I am talking about the model that brings forth a new culture. And we had a really beautiful example here yesterday. There was a song that we sang, Ukutula, and Pat McCabe asked where this song comes from. And then Robert said from the internet, and there was some laughter. And I think most of us felt we are treading the grounds of cultural wounding. Because there's a modern culture where we just take songs wherever they are and we bring them to the internet, we blast them out there and we say, here you go. And we felt that. And so the model is not that we don't make these mistakes. The model is how we deal with these mistakes. Robert felt that there was a mistake and he brought it back to his heart and said, I took it from the internet because I loved the song. So we are not modeling the perfect way to be, we are modeling a way to become. And for me this is important to say because models are such important places in my perception of how change can come today. It is very hard for me to see all of humanity waking up to the call of Mother Earth in one moment because the disconnect from Mother Earth has become culture. It has become structure. And they are structures of fear. And they are so omnipresent that usually we don't even feel these fears anymore. When I ask somebody, are you afraid? You might say yes, a little, or no. But as a culture, we are fear-based. All our structures are fear-based. That is something terrifying to recognize. The food we eat, if we follow it, fear-based, exploitation of the earth. The clothes we wear, if we follow it, I think you're informed. Somewhere children in the Indian Ocean working day and night under conditions that we don't even want to know about. And I could go through all the layers of our culture. And we come to the place where the fear has become a structure that is so natural in us that we don't even notice it anymore. So many times we will say, no, I'm not afraid, because my fear that I carry inside is no different from all of your fears and from all the cultural structures that we are surrounded by. It is normality. This is why we talk of a culture of peace and cultural models. Because one result of this fear is that we always think we have to be better individuals. But we are so much more a result of a collective story than we are usually aware of. The wounds reach so far back. And the information in our DNA that is ruling our action reaches so far back into our collective history that the cultural models we want to create to bring about change need to go to this layer of healing. Cultural models to create a new way of living for all of humanity need to go to the layer where the wounding is and create a new answer. That means we create electricity of trust and cooperation. We create food of trust and cooperation. We create water cycles of trust and cooperation. But most of all, something needs to change in the inner of the human being. Because we can do all the ecological fixes or the technological fixes or the social fixes, if we do not hit this point of transformation that many of us felt yesterday, the culture that we will put forth, the structures that we will put forth, will keep repeating the trauma. The beauty of this vision of places and gatherings like this is that it is not an individual responsibility only or mainly. We can create spaces and places for this healing where we touch the possibility of life on earth. In a place like Tamera and hopefully many more, structures are created where our fear can be released, where our fear of separation can be released because we become tribe again. And we notice how primordial the fear of separation runs. And in these places, there's work to do because deep planning of this event is in the spirit of time, in the zeitgeist, that gatherings like this take place. And people being involved know how much work it is that we all come to this level of truth and trust that the emergence of life can happen again. These places to heal community need to be grounded in truth and trust. They need to be places where we can let go of our cultural conditioning. You know, the fear that I mentioned before that we are not even aware of, that we start noticing it and are together in circle to heal it. At the same time, these places have a chance to reflect this newly found trust in all aspects of life. When community is healed, when the inner of the human being, the brokenness of the human being is healed, we start creating not only sustainable models and lifestyle. At the moment, we will start creating regenerative lifestyles with the earth. Because this is our natural way to be. When we, in the coming days, look at alliances and at coming projects, there might be the possibility that we look together how these places can emerge, how these first places that model the new possibility can emerge. There is so much good work done. There are so many people waking up right now to another way with the earth. It needs almost something like crystallization points, where this new culture can come into structure and into shared reality between people. You know how crystallization works? There is a solution, and you keep feeding in, for example, a special salt, and you still see the clear solution, and then you keep on putting in grains of salt, and at a moment there is a core, the heart of a crystal to come, and from that place the structures form like magic. And all of a sudden a whole solution creates these structures of beauty and crystals. And humanity is getting to this point. We are almost saturated with pain, but also with knowledge of how it could be. And I hope that in the coming days we will strategize together how these crystallization points can be created, where all of our longing of humanity can crystallize and create a culture, structures of peace, structures of mutual support, structures of returning to the earth, so that the experience we had yesterday can sustain. That it is more than a one-time experience that we happen to run into, that we actually consciously create the conditions for this experience to emerge. And probably this is already enough. I once wanted to plant this vision how change can come to so many people on this earth by these first centers of light, they are sometimes called. And they will emerge anyway, but we can participate and by giving them consciously the complexity that they need to respond to all the different traumas all around the world, to give alternatives for all the aspects of our lifestyle. And in a way, these models, they will look so different. I'm not worried about it at all. If we hit the core of universal healing, of course it will look different than Tamera. I mean, who envisions, if you go to your heart, a unified culture all over the world? They will look so different. And at the same time, we are modeling universal principles of healing and connected lifestyle, unified lifestyle, that are urgent in our time for people to see and perceive. There is something of communities coming together today with a global vision. There is such a need and such a hunger for tribe and community, but so little knowledge of how to do it. And what brings communities and people really together is the vision that we strive towards. There is something where if a place like Tamera or other places, a group of 150, 200, 300, 500 people say, we want to create a model for the life that we desire. Some of the individual trauma, of the individual pain points can transform in this common intention. With a global aspiration to create such a model, we actually become a tribe, a collective of a communal being where the necessities of the whole become more important than my individual necessities. And if we come to that point as human beings, we are a model. So a warm invitation for the coming days to forge alliances and come together on that level of healing that we all know is needed. Thank you for your contributions.